Welcome back to Kelma B'Kelma. This is episode 9. My name is Eric Balakrishnan. I'm the country representative of Yes Europe Malta. Thank you to everyone who've been watching our episodes recently. So we're continuing our recent trend of chatting about alternative areas of sustainability in our Kelma B'Kelma interviews. So today we're joined by Jovana Solarevic, who's the owner of Cherrystone, which is a thrift store next to Junior College in Msida. Cherrystone was opened after Jovana spent some time abroad and realized how people in other countries are very much aware about the impact of the fashion industry that it's having on our planet. So they would turn to secondhand clothes or vintage items as a way to reduce waste and at the same time find something that is unique and still in a good condition. Jovana has always loved thrifting, as she would find the most one-of-a-kind items that would bring such joy and at the same time know that it has been passed down for years or simply found a new home. So Cherrystone, which is where we're filming our interview today, is based on this concept where different items that are still usable and in great condition can be given another home rather than simply getting rid of them for the next trend. So this is an interview about sustainable fashion. So we're going to talk to Jovana about sort of her inspiration for setting up a thrift store here in Malta, and then also her opinions about the fashion industry in general. So Jovana, thank you for sitting down with us this evening.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Perfect. So let's start at the beginning. When did your passion for fashion start, and where did your inspiration come from for setting up a vintage thrift store here in Malta?
Right, so I've always loved fashion. I've always loved clothes, jewelry, accessories, everything. But I liked it in a different way when I was much younger, teenager, when I used to attend junior college. Such things such as sustainability or like even trying a different way of purchasing these items that I loved wearing did not go through my mind. I actually went on Erasmus for quite a few months.
Sure.
And I lived on my own. And obviously when you live on your own, you get more time, you get to explore different things. And so I did. There was nobody to tell me this is wrong, this is right. I was in Poland actually.
Okay.
And a lot of people know who've been to Poland, there's a lot of vintage shops.
Yeah.
Thrifting, vintage, secondhand, anything. And so I started exploring this option, and I started seeing people, like the standard shops that here in Slima, Valletta are always packed, weren't as packed as here. And then you see these secondhand, these vintage shops, some had a queue. Like during the weekends, they would stay open later than usual, and they would have a queue. And that really intrigued me, and I used to go, obviously, and I used to find these amazing pieces. Some were cheap, some were not cheap, but you wouldn't even think of it because they would be unique, they would be great pieces. And so I started getting into it. And for 3 months, I bought nothing new. I mean, I didn't need to. Everything that I needed, maybe, even because people keep saying you can't find plain, you can find plain and simple things to wear on a daily basis. I found everything in these shops. And then I came back to Malta, and I didn't feel like even with my friends, they would go shopping or we have an occasion. I did not want to buy something that has been on the rail, that costs a lot of money, that is polyester, that's been produced by, I'm not gonna say children, but most probably children, and it will be gone, and the next trend will come in, and I will not be able to use it. I will not be able to use this thing, but you know, it will not be the same. So I started going through there was a few online sort of shops that you can buy off of Instagram. This was like maybe 2-3 years ago we're talking about, and I was working full time. I finished my studies after Erasmus. I came back, I got my results, I passed, and then I was working full time, and that was not fun. As in, I was working full time as an accounts and purchasing assistant for a furniture shop. Not gonna do advertising, but it was a furniture shop.
Sure. And
it was not my first job. I've been working for a while, but it was my first job. That's all I had. I wasn't studying. I had hobbies on the side, but that was it. And after like 4 or 5 months, I was like, this can't be just it. And this thing kept in my mind, this phone. And I told my mother first of all, and she said, just go for it.
Good. Yeah.
And I said, but I haven't seen people give an interest here in Malta. I mean, there's a few people that I know, but there's like 5 people on top of my hand. You can count them. I said, this is not something you just do. She said, you should try it, see how it goes. I mean, maybe it was 2021, I think. She said, maybe in a year or two, this might actually be a thing here. And so I did. I started planning it. I started saying what people, like I used to talk to my friends, a few young people when we'd be to the bar or party or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, maybe like even the 80s and 90s. I'm like, yeah. They're like the early 2000s. I'm like, yeah. All of these things should remain, like we should still use them. Why shouldn't we use it just because they're like not the fashion trend at the moment? And so I opened it and I started I get a lot of things that I like. Even the style, you can see the patterns, the colors. I try to sort of still like the things that I'm selling.
Of course, yeah.
I'm very well aware there are some other things that I will probably be able to sell, but if I don't like them, I don't want to be, you know, I don't know, I don't like, that's just my way of thinking.
But do you think because through meeting other people, like in your journey, that your likes have also quite shifted in terms of fashion?
I think so, because I have things which I really like. I don't think I personally wear, but through meeting different people, I'm quite open-minded, to be honest. There's nothing that I'm going to say, oh, I don't like that. But there are the things that I'm going to pick out and say, I love this is good quality, it's great materials, I'm going to get it, and I'll try and sell this.
Sure.
So that's how it began.
Perfect. And I mean, Cherrystone, I think was something I heard about, about a year ago. I pass by here quite a lot, and it's always good to see people sort of trying it out, and not just here, but also in the thrifting community in general in Malta. Do you feel that community is there and it's growing?
Yes, it is growing for sure. I opened last year, so like maybe May, I think. May. And from then till now, I've already seen a tremendous growth in the community, even in like the physical shops that have opened. I'm just sure they've tripled since I started the idea of this. I'm not saying it as if I've started it, but as in, since it's becoming more and more common, even on social media.
Sure.
People are posting videos of their thrift finds.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more acceptable.
Fashionable.
It's fashionable. You can say it's fashionable, because now even the early 90s are back. I mean, unless you go and buy it new, you can also find it in these shops, because people gave that away.
Yeah.
Who would have known that it's going to come back?
Come back and be of value.
Exactly, and be of value.
Sure. So it is still quite warm. We are filming this in the middle of October, but summer has officially come to an end. So young people have gone back to school, and we're all going to begin sort of piling on the layers as we approach winter. So why do you think the first thought behind acquiring new clothes is to think about new clothes only?
You mean for general people? Why do they think
that new clothes should be the way to go?
First of all, it's also, I mean, in the family or friends who you surround yourself with.
Okay.
Like before I lived on my own, and before I met certain groups of people, before I became so free, as in I don't mind whatever the person is. You want to buy secondhand, I don't mind. You want to buy new, I'm not going to judge somebody because they buy new. But at the same time, my parents, I'm going to talk about my parents, my personal experience, they never introduced me to this. It was not something that we just did, you know. There are other people who did. I have friends who she says her mother used to take her to these little, even Monty and the Birgo, they did this. So she was already accustomed to it. So when the shops started popping up, and this became sort of integrated into the Maltese culture, and obviously we're getting a lot of foreigners as well living here, it's getting more and more okay, sort of. For her, it was great. For me, I had to move out. I had to go out of Malta, experience a different culture, different mindset, different people, different groups of people, to raise this awareness myself, to be like, oh my God, this is something that people do daily. This is not something that you do because you cannot afford something else. This is not something that you do just because you want a vintage coat. People do this. They critically think before they go and get something. And if they need, let's say, a new jacket for winter, the first thing doesn't pop. The first thing in their head is not like Zara. Why? There's going to be another 55 people wearing the same jacket, 100%. So even in, I'm going to mention another country, Denmark, because my friend's from there, it's normal. For them, this is the first thought. Let's try and see if we can get it thrifted or vintage or secondhand. Because 99% you can.
Sure. Yeah.
It might take you a week longer than just popping up to Slim and buying it new. But there's no rush, as you just said, it's still warm. If you start from now, I'm sure you're gonna find
You'll find it for
You'll
sure.
find it.
Yeah.
But it's the way people think and the people you surround yourself with. If you're gonna surround yourself with people who see it as something, you know, not nice, as something dirty, as something like of low class people, you're not going to be encouraged to try it out.
Sure, absolutely. And I think this relates like perfectly to what the issue is with fast fashion. So obviously, if you are going to buy things from retailers, I guess the price of clothes in that kind of sense, and quite affordable prices, it's probably going to relate to this idea of fast fashion, right?
I did not even mention this. Now everything has become so easy. It's so easy to go online and buy a jacket for €7.
Yeah.
It's made so easy. And now people, I'm not saying they should be ashamed, but they're not ashamed of saying, I bought a €15 jacket, which is probably polyester or nylon, or, you know, it's a bad quality, which takes hundreds of years to disintegrate. It's not like cotton or, let's say, linen. And you can't even pass it on at the same time. If you bought such a low quality jacket, you're not going to be able to pass it on to anybody else at that point. And they have no problem in saying that they bought it for the season. That they bought it for this winter. They want to like, or for an occasion, for a dinner, for a wedding, for their birthday. They will buy it because it's easy. They can go on the app, order it's here. They can get in 7 different colors because it's cheap.
Sure.
And this is becoming so accessible that people are not even thinking about it. It's made so easy that people after work, they can just, oh, I need a black jacket. You just click and it's here in like a week or two.
So on fast fashion, do you think have you noticed like a change in the pace at which people have been buying their clothes recently?
Yes. As I said, one of them is it's become very easy. Yeah. Before, I'm saying a couple of years ago, we couldn't just go pop online and just find, you see different models wearing the same thing. Yeah. So you get, you already see what they will look like on different body types. It's become so advanced that people don't even need to think. They don't even need to try. They don't even need to, you know. And if it's not good, for 8 to 10 euros, most people don't care. They will just give it away or give it to the next person. They don't care. So they will buy it even if they are not 100% sure they like it, which obviously generates so much waste.
Yes.
You're already generating waste by the things you do like, especially by the things that you don't like. And I'm saying this because I've talked to people like this. I've talked to people who say, green is in fashion, I'm just gonna order a bunch of green things, wear them now, and then they get rid of them. Or they stay in their closet until they remember them, then they get rid of them. They will not keep them because it's a thing like this. Fashion, these trends are like, they're moving fast. These celebrities are always changing. Obviously, they can afford it. And they can probably return it. Or a lot of them rent it even. But we don't see this. People who are on their phones or scrolling through Instagram, we don't see this. We only see this thing, I want it, and I'll get it through this app. So, yes, I think it's become much easier and much cheaper because obviously now, through cheap labor, through making 1,000 of the same item, the cost will go down, obviously. But at the same time, since we're changing fashion trends so fast, so easy, I don't know how people don't realize that this doesn't make sense. It's not adding up. These clothes that are not being bought or that are being thrown away have to go somewhere.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. And, you know, I think buying clothes in itself has always been something that people have done as a hobby, almost. And thrifting obviously is a hobby, but then you have this issue with retail therapy. So retail therapy is quite a common feature of our generation.
It's true.
It's this notion where you'd want to reward yourself when you're in a good mood, or use it as like a pick-me-up whenever you're in need of a pick-me-up.
I've never addressed this before, but it's 100% true.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And I think naturally most forms of indulgences don't take on a very sustainable format, right? So how can there be like a cultural shift for people of all ages to turn to thrifting for their feel-good intake rather than having to go to like, you know, retail stores for their feel-good intake?
Right, so first thing, I'd say it was the most basic thing, is that first of all, now, as I said, we have a lot more shops, let's say.
Okay.
So you have the ability to try it on. A lot of women and men go when they try on these things, and this is the form of I did this before. When I was young, I did this. This was my Saturday afternoon. I did good in school. I did school and my job, and I did everything. I went to the gym, and I'm like, Saturday, I'll just go buy myself something nice. I deserve it. So I'll go and try 12 different things, because this is the fun of it, you know? But now I found that the fact that I can go to a thrift or a vintage shop or even a secondhand shop and find something as good, if not better, knowing that I'm not contributing to this fast fashion cycle that keeps on going, and knowing, for me personally, that I will have this one unique item. That is also important, because if you go, let me not mention the same, let's go say Stradivarius. If you go there, you cannot expect to be the only one wearing that dress, let's say, to that party. You cannot, you cannot expect that, because first of all, we're a small island. I'm talking about Malta. So I like the fact that I bought this thing and it's unique. I will have it, and maybe 2 people might have it, but not 200 people.
Yeah, and you might get the opportunity to explore your own style. Like if you want to celebrate uniqueness. Exactly.
Yes. It's a thing that I know I'm contributing to something good. For thrift shops, vintage shops, most of them are small businesses.
Yeah.
Here in Malta, there's small businesses. So I always appreciate the fact that the person I'm buying it from appreciates it.
Yes.
I probably not made their day, but for me, some people make my day when they come here and they find that one thing that they've been looking for everywhere, and they find it suits them, it fits them, and they thank me. I genuinely feel happy. I'm happy for them for finding it, for not buying it through some fast fashion chain, and coming here and getting that. I think they get their retail therapy here, and I don't see why not. You're not contributing to more waste. You're not paying, because a lot of these things are overpriced. Let's say vintage is one thing. Buying a fast fashion item for 150 euro is totally different. Because people say, like, this is this much and it's used. It is vintage, it's a different, it was made years ago, but most probably by hand. If it survived for so long and it's in such good condition, it's going to survive another 20 years, another 35 years. You paying 100 euros for a leather jacket, used or not, if it's good quality, if it survived for so long, you're certain it's good quality.
For sure, yeah.
You buying a fake leather jacket at a shop in Slima for 150. I don't see how people don't understand. It's not the same thing. And you have to know, you don't know if it's going to be good or not. They just made it. God knows who made it. God knows how many of the same thing they made. There has to be a mistake, you know what I mean? I don't know, I get frustrated thinking about it.
100%. And I think, like, there's so many different aspects to kind of tackling the issue. There's the perceptions, there's the cultural ideas of it, there's the finances behind it.
Yes, as well.
And fashion naturally is one of the least sustainable industries worldwide. And I think there was a statistic, I think like about 5 million tons of textiles are thrown away every year in the EU, which is quite, significant. Although you alluded to it earlier, cotton can be quite biodegradable, but over like the course of a year.
Oh, but it still takes time. I'm not saying a few days. It still takes time.
But then in comparison to polyester and nylon, which can take hundreds of years.
Oh, it can take, polyester, I read, can take up to 200 years. And you said Europe, 5 million. America currently, it was done last year, 2022, 11 million tons. That's 85% of textiles.
Not to mention like the vast amounts of water and chemicals which are used in the process.
Yeah, obviously, because these fast fashion chains that are quite popular now, there's the Zara, there's the H&M, there's the Forever 21, there's Shein, obviously, everybody knows about it. When it got introduced to Malta, just got blown up. This is one of the apps I've been telling you that you can just order for 350.
Exactly, yeah.
What's 350, you know?
So the education aspect becomes like really critical. So obviously yourself as a thrift store owner, I'm sure that you're there talking to customers and telling them that these are things that you were telling me earlier just now. If something has been of this good quality for this long, then obviously it is of good quality.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of go about those kind of processes when you want to communicate the lack of sustainability in fashion, or like just in general, how should the area of sustainable fashion be communicated towards consumers?
Well, a lot of people that come in, either they know or they don't know.
Okay.
There's nothing in between, you know? They either are aware of the situation and they are fully aware of the impact that, because it's not talked about, you know? You talk about cars, the pollution in cars, and all these little things, big things.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that like that. But then fashion industry is not even regarded. It's being regarded now, recently.
Mm-hmm.
It was as if it didn't even exist. But I don't understand, like, even when I speak to customers, sometimes we just get into this conversation and it gets heated because I get frustrated and they're like, oh my God, never thought of that. The way, how they are made. You're going to tell me, yes, but even 25 years ago, they were made the same way. They didn't use the same machines. A lot of the things were done by hand, not by machine.
But if you look at it like, so the economic model we have, right, let's talk about from like a cultural perspective, it's been created so that we don't have to worry about it. Almost everything. So us as human beings, we need clothes, we need food. In the past being like thousands of years ago, human beings would hunt animals and grow their own crops and pick whatever they wanted off the tree. All of that has pretty much been, unless you live a certain lifestyle, all of that can be eliminated from your life because this huge mega capitalist machine is doing all the work for us.
It's just giving it to you.
Exactly. So if you think about like in the ye olde days, you'd have someone in the family who'd be knitting sort of sweaters for the children or whatever for the winter. That's obviously been eliminated, again, depending on the lifestyle you want to live, that's been eliminated from our lives. And then people are kind of brought up in this world thinking like everything is already catered for us. So you never have to worry. And I think that's the thing is, we as humans worry a lot. So the less we can worry about things, the better.
It's true.
So you don't yourself feel guilty for kind of those things, right? Like it is a massively like a cultural problem.
But this is again the critical thinking aspect of it. You cannot just, I mean, you can, obviously a lot of people do, but I don't think it's good to just live life without thinking about anything.
Yes, it's a critical evaluation.
Yeah, but it is very normal. And people say, why should I think about buying this thing? What do you mean? Like, why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you think about, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like, why does it cost so much? What material was used? Who made it? I mean, okay, you know who's selling it, but who made it? Where did it come from, you know? These things, I think, you don't need to spend 35 minutes before buying the item. It's a 2-3 minute process. Like, should I do this? Do I really need this? Can I wait? Maybe it pops up in a thrift shop somewhere. Maybe my cousin, my sister, my mother, my friend has something that I can borrow or that she no longer uses. I've been gifted a lot of things that people don't use. And I feel no shame in taking them. If it's something that I will use, why not? It's just hand-me-down and it's great. Instead of her throwing it away, I get to use this thing. And instead of buying it again, I just get it from her.
For sure. And I think sustainability has a big role to play in that. So like on a micro level, right? So let's say you are a person who wants to adopt like a sustainable lifestyle, whichever kind of format that may take. You may not want to give up everything. It's very, very difficult to try to like...
Of course.
So like, you know, both of us drive our cars still, but there are other things that you kind of do, and every little goes a long way. But at the same time, if kind of the larger industry remains sort of committed to this cheap economic model, it almost, like, I don't want people to get sort of a lack of motivation through it, but it almost feels like what we're doing is not enough. Like, there's always so much more that we can do to help.
Of course.
And I think educating the wider public about these things, like, it's all really good individually, and you feel good about kind of making a positive impact within your own life, but it's almost never going to feel enough. Like, especially for a country like Malta, unfortunately, everything sustainability related is always going to come back to climate change. And we can be a country that all of a sudden starts to change the way we do everything. You know, our energy becomes a lot more renewable. All of a sudden, big retail stores start closing down and start getting replaced. More people in Malta take up a plant-based diet. Like, lots of things, everybody starts to cycle. All of these things can happen. But unfortunately, we're still going to have record-breaking heat waves and record-breaking floods every summer, because this is a global kind of issue.
It's a global thing, yeah.
Okay, let's go back to thrifting a little bit and kind of your experience sort of running a thrift store. What are some of the unfounded myths of thrifting that you have come across that give the practice a poor reputation.
Right. So I was going to comment on what you said before.
Sure.
That whatever we do might not seem enough. But if you do this little thing, let's say if you can walk and not use the car, like sometimes I walk here.
Yeah.
If I don't need to drive my clothes or anything, as in put them in the car, I'll walk. These little things, I think even the smallest of differences is better than not doing it. If you do not need to devote your entire life and just thrift like some people do, you don't need to. But if you think that you can thrift this one item, instead of buying it new, and you do that, that's already a difference.
Sure.
You just need to be open for it.
You don't want people to feel like it's a big commitment, right?
No,
like
you don't need to like change your entire lifestyle for
absolutely.
it.
Okay.
Just stop buying new things. Because people, if they've been like 30, 40, 50 years doing this thing, you cannot expect them to get up one day and just decide to shift their life around. But small things do make a difference. I believe that. For instance, for a wedding, if you can reuse something that you've used 3 years ago, do so. Why buy new? Why keep buying new for every single occasion? This is a sort of thing that, because how will we look like in front of people? I think this is a small change, but it is significant to the environment and to ourselves as individuals. You should make these changes, I think, even for yourself. But what you were saying about the myths is, well, mostly because, secondhand, it is used, it is bad. Just because somebody else used it before you will use it, they automatically assume it's bad. But I am failing to understand why, because if it's in poor condition, if it has holes, if it is stained, certain things, okay, I mean, I wouldn't even sell them.
Absolutely.
And not even secondhand shops, like the charity shops, they wouldn't even sell them, like, let alone vintage thrift shops. For me, even if you're trying on things in a shop in Slima, somebody else tried it on before you.
Mm-hmm.
Many times before, I've held tops with foundation on them that smell badly because I know somebody else.
And because they're poor quality, they'll retain those aspects longer. But if it's good quality, then actually you can sort of be like rest assured.
Yes, of course. And you wash things either way.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy it at the shop or if you buy it at you will wash it before you use it.
Yeah.
Obviously not everybody, but this is something that it should be a common practice, because even in standard shops, we're talking about normal, I keep referring to Slima shops, but there's Birkakara, Valletta, whatever. Some people return them. I know friends who used something, left the tag, returned it. Somebody used it, you will never know. So I don't see this concept of somebody used it, it's bad. You simply wash it, it's like new. It doesn't even like, I've purchased a long coat, it is vintage, and I got it dry cleaned. For the money I save from buying it new, I just got it dry cleaned, and it will be like new, there's nothing
And because it lasts so long, you would never have to replace it in the same period of time if you had bought something that was...
I've had a coat now, which was secondhand. I've had it for like 4 years, and God only knows when it was made, because the tag is not even there anymore. So it's still usable, and if I find myself not wanting to wear that color or that style anymore, I can just give it on to the next person or donate it. There's no need to just, I don't like this anymore, just give it away, because it's used.
Sure.
So I think that's the biggest misconception. Also, one more thing that I'd like to add is, now it's a bit shifting a little bit, but before it was, because most common shops where you can buy secondhand were the charity shops. They're not bad at all. I've found some really nice things at charity shops. I buy my dog a lot of things from charity shops. He's in secondhand. People thought that you would buy from these places because you have a low income, because you're of a certain class into today's society. So even being seen there gives off a certain impression. And I don't believe that people should look at it that way.
For sure, definitely.
I don't see why perfectly, let's say a woman, great job, if she can afford a very expensive thing, but she'd rather choose to pay a cheaper price for it and find something great, why not? Why not go for it?
Yeah,
Because
and money isn't a finite resource. Like it doesn't.
No.
These things do not. They are myths completely.
For me, yes. And I don't see why should I care. I'm proud of it. When people say what a nice shirt, I'm like, oh, I thrifted it, or I got it from this vintage shop, or I got it from a charity shop. I'm proud of it because not only did I get a good deal, I got a good quality. You like it, so
Sure.
you know it's something nobody would ever. I'm most of the time in secondhand items. I've never met anybody who looked at me and said, "That must be secondhand."
Yeah.
Like nobody ever. Like why would they?
No, why would they? Absolutely. And I think
What difference does it make?
that idea of perceptions, like individuals feeling that they have to compromise on quality and value just to adopt a sustainable lifestyle, that sort of follows on from this idea that these things are a myth. So we alluded to it earlier, for example, taking public transport instead of using their car, or replacing certain indulgences in their diet, or opting for secondhand clothes rather than trying to buy something from a retail store that's first-hand. So yeah, thrifting will also fall into that category. Do you think an argument could be made though where people can celebrate like a diverse array of clothing options through thrifting, because there might be like those options available in one place rather than feeling that they have to go to different places to find exactly what they want?
All right, so it would obviously, this depends on the shops. That's the focus on Maltese ones. As I said, it's not gonna be as easy.
Sure.
Because as you mentioned before, you can just find it. You can scroll to your phone and find it, and you can pick the color. There'll be 15 different colors of the same thing, and you can order the same thing in 3 different colors. You know, but it's a way of looking at it. For me, it's even for me, it's easier. Me personally, I'm here to clothing. So most of the other shops, if I want to go to another vintage shop or another thrift shop, I need to make the time. But for me, knowing that the difference that this is making to myself, honestly, as well, me knowing that something is not new now brings a sort of satisfaction to my life and to my day when I say, oh, I thrifted this suit for my wedding, rather than buying it new. I feel happy about it. It would have taken me longer to find it. Yes, it would. But 100% nobody has ever gone shopping for a wedding 2 days prior to the wedding or to their birthday. I know people who plan their birthday 3 months in advance, their outfits, the venue and everything. So you do have some, you just need to want that. Need to want, instead of doing this, which is easier, just devote maybe 2 hours of your day, go to these shops and find it. And now we've also making secondhand even easier. There's Depop.
Depop,
Depop. I didn't pronounce that.
No, it's Depop is the online.
Yeah. Depop is online.
Yeah.
So you can also buy secondhand online. There's a lot of Instagram pages now that are opening. They're making it accessible to purchase online, even secondhand. So it's becoming easier. I mean, obviously there's fast fashion is more advanced. They have more revenue to take from to create such apps, such websites to make it so much easier. But it's a conscious thing.
Yeah.
Like you need to do it consciously, that you're doing this, if not even for the environment, even for yourself, to know that you're not contributing to this fast fashion, to the child labor, to the pollution that they are creating, that they're causing from making these items. We've seen now Instagram is starting to like raise awareness through these videos of landfills being filled with things that were not even sold.
For sure, but I think everybody is very well aware about, it's not just that, it's like, I'm filming this on an iPhone 14 Pro. Unfortunately, I know exactly how that iPhone is made. It's one of those things where you almost succumb to the pressure of wanting something just because it's just the best product on the perception of it is the best produge that's available.
The perception is, but you see, you look at your phone, it's a great camera. My phone does not have this camera. The audio, you using it on a daily basis for your work, not just to scroll through apps. You're getting sort of something out of it, right? For clothes, at this point, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because the materials that are being used.
Because it ultimately comes down to quality.
To quality, yes. You are paying more for the phone because it's better quality. It's the newest one that they have.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but I think so.
As of last week it isn't, but yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
But what I mean is, even a car, let's say, I have an old car because that is my style. Not because I'm saying my car is better than the car that just came out last year.
Absolutely, yeah.
That car, if you pay for it, now obviously the newer they are, the better for the environment they are as well. But either way, you're paying more for it because it will work, it will give you less trouble, so on and so on. Clothes now are the quality is getting worse and worse because it is cheaper to make them, because people are still buying them. Nobody's going, oh, because I ordered this from Shein and it's not cotton sport. Nobody's saying that because it was €4. Nobody cares. So they will keep making it with this bad quality, for not saying a bad word. So in other aspects, I might be able to understand. Like this phone, I understand. I'm not saying it's good, but I understand the reasoning behind it. For clothes, I'm failing to see why people are still doing what they're doing, you know? If you're paying something and it's new and it's good quality and you're going to a shop, I've been to Italy recently. There are these shops that are not, it's not a chain. It's not a franchise, I meant to say. She owns a shop.
Independent store.
It's an independent shop, yes. She owns it. They are new. They are made by this, you can even research the person that makes her items. She has maybe 3 of each thing. They are priced accordingly, but they are good quality items. There was nothing at all polyester. There was not even 1% of the things. It was either cotton, there was linen, there was wool. So you can still, you can still look at it in different ways, you know. There's bad and then there's, you know, bad. You can still make it better. You know, you can still make a better decision. You don't need to make the best decision, but there's still a better decision than just going for the first thing that pops up because everybody else is doing it, or because it's easiest, or because it's cheapest, you know. I'm 100% certain that there's always a different way for anything that you name.
Do you think it's difficult to convince people to move away from things like polyester because of the waterproof nature of, or even if that is not just an issue?
I think it's difficult to convince people because they're just used to it. When somebody's used to something, they don't even want to listen to you. Even if you maybe offer something better, they're simply used to this way of life, to this way of thinking, to this way of wearing the clothes that they wear. And they do not want to change because they don't see why. They're fine with it, you know. Not everybody understands quality or even fashion, let's say. So you cannot convince somebody who thinks that they are right. You know what I mean? So sometimes people come in and they ask me questions, and no matter how many facts, it's not like I'm just speaking emotionally from my heart because I believe in this. There are facts. Like, we have branded clothes. Some of them are used, yes. They're still fine. If you're willing to pay, let's say, for Nike, and I read another brand, has one of the most CO2 emissions because of the amount of things,
the volume of
it that they are making, at what speed, because people keep buying, obviously. If you're willing to pay for 150 new, it's a basic top. A 10-15 euro thing that is used, okay, still in great quality. This doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you want it? Just because it was used, it should not mean it's worse, because you will use the 150 euro one. So after 3 months, you're gonna stop using it because it's been used for a certain amount of time. It doesn't make sense. You're paying so much money. You're going to stop using it at a certain point in time? No. You should be able to wash this thing. You should be able to reuse it and reuse it as much as you can because you've paid for quality.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, this is a very sorry. This was a cultural thing that mainly that we've kind of tackled in this interview, and the hope is that perception about these things are changing, and they're changing amongst younger generations. We are an NGO for younger generations, and we usually tend to end these interviews by sort of like a message towards younger people. So consumerist culture is definitely something psychological.
For sure.
It's this idea and fear of not wanting to miss out on certain trends, and people may feel the pressure that they need to join in because others are joining in. So what would be like your recommendation to young people to embrace themselves through more sustainable decisions?
Right, so again, I'm going to say my personal experience, because not everything counts for everybody. Obviously, people have different lifestyles, different ways of thinking, either way. I think that first you need to find out who you are, that any aspect of life, not just fashion, but even that. I think that is important, because a lot of the things, even I see at junior college now, when the, I was going to say kids, when the students come, image is a really big thing for them. And I understand, because at 17, it was for me too. I think you should find your image, not by looking at other people. Find out what you feel comfortable in, what makes you when you wear it, even if it's the most basic thing, if it's just black on black, if that's what makes you feel comfortable, happy, and you think that you might remain in this sort of thing for like the next 3-4 years, just go for that.
Sure.
We are really upset, no, we young people, everybody, I've seen it a lot, and even in older generations, we are obsessed about what other people think, what other people might think when they see us. I'm telling you that most people, they don't care. And even if they do care, they care for the 2 minutes that they see you. Other than that, they will continue with their life. They will not think about you again because you wear a green top, because you wear a bright yellow one, a pink one.
Yeah.
They will not.
No, it's ultimately silly, right? Like,
yes, it is.
But at the same time, social perceptions can be quite brutal, right? So if, let's say, you want to make a decision because you want to embrace yourself and your own likes, and a very small group of people for some reason may target that for you. It's not a very nice thing to say, but those are the type of people that you shouldn't be surrounding yourself with, because that's negative energy.
It's true.
But in your journey to embrace yourself through sustainable decisions, you may be bringing the positive energy into your life that will attract like-minded people
100%.
that will see. And that's how you foster that community.
I changed my perception and my way of life, my way of...
I'm very sorry, somebody's trying to get it, but we are closed, sorry.
Yeah.
We're doing an interview.
No. There's a sign closed, but that never mind. I was saying that you need to, when you know who you are, and...
Hi.
No, madam.
Welcome.
No, madam.
When you open?
There's the opening.
We're not going to cut this out, the interview.
This
is staying
in. The most entertaining thing that's happened.
See,
I don't think I've been here so late. People will see the lights.
So my apologies, sorry. We're wrapping up.
No, that's alright, but the street is very dark and the only thing showing is the shop, so people are attracted.
It's the life of an independent business owner, right? Yeah, these are the fun things.
I was saying, if you know who you are, people, whatever they say, it shouldn't bring you down. Because if you know what your beliefs are, what you believe in, what you like, what you don't like, and that you are doing good, you're not hurting anybody by doing you, people should not affect you. But even if they do in a negative way, that means that those people are not serving your life at that moment in time. They might return later on when they've grown as well, but at that time, I think it's easy to distinguish these people. It's just that either we've known them for a long time, or they have a certain status, or, so it's difficult to let go of them. But I changed a lot when I found the right people for me. They're not necessarily like-minded, but they would never judge me or tell me, why am I doing this? Because of whatever I'd be doing.
Absolutely, for sure.
Even if they're not supporting me with it, they will never bring me down. They'll say, you just do you. If you need me, let me know. And I do not force my mentality and my way of life on them, because that's not fair either. Here I'm just trying to educate people, and even if they keep buying new, that's fine. But maybe next time, instead of buying 3 of the same thing, maybe you buy 1, and that's already a difference. Not everybody can live the same life. But by knowing and by being aware, maybe you change in a year, maybe you change in two, maybe you have children, then you change then.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody grows up in different times. I think the most important thing is to keep an open mind, to not judge other people just because they're different, whatever it is that they're doing. And as long as they're not hurting you personally, they're not attacking you, I think we can all just, exist.
Yeah, and that's a good note to end on. So terrific. Thank you for talking to us about sustainable fashion and your kind of ideas and opinions on this world.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to watching our latest episodes.
Thank you very much.